Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Two topics. Russia seems to, is doing fantastically economically under the 14th round of self-imposed sanctions of the West. How is that possible? Who are the beneficiaries? The profiteers? Who are they? It makes me think that the Russians were so good and smart that they worked through United States of America to destroy Europe, because Europe is the big loser aside from Ukraine on this issue. And this comes from the World Bank. The Russian economy is so hot that the World Bank upgraded it to a quote-unquote high-income country. High-income country. Now, obviously, Business Insider and these weasels are going to portray that as, see, because of the war, the Russians, you impose sanctions on these guys. Russia is the most sanctioned country that ever existed. I think it's more sanctioned than Iran, Cuba, as the number of sanctions. And still the world champion. It seems like the fourth largest world economy. From what, the sixth or seventh as it was, it got to the fourth. Upgraded by the World Bank, high-income country. And they say war-driven economy. So that is for the baboons to suggest to the baboons, what if we have a world economy? Huh? Don't you think? If we have a world-driven economy, we're going to have weapons for breakfast. And the kids will have lunch boxes in, I don't know, helmets or something. All right, that's the first topic. And the second one, I don't know if you are familiar with what happened in Bolivia a few days ago. And that was an attempted coup. I wanted to make a video on that, but I needed more information and I didn't have time to do some research. Because I went first and I said, okay, who was the guy in charge of the attempted coup, who is the president, who appointed that general as this, the attempted, and I tried to look back in their bio to see some connection with the masters of regime change, like a university somewhere in America, someone working for someone else, someone participating in some training in somewhere NATO, and it took too long and I stopped that research. But I found out from the horse's mouth? Not really. We got the Bolivian president who survived this coup attempt. He tells us what was all about. And we find out. I have two articles on that one. What caused or could have caused the outside forces attempted a coup d'etat, an overthrow, regime change in Bolivia? Well, resources. What kind of resources? I'm going to let you know. It has to do with batteries, but not like batteries, that kind of batteries. No. Car batteries. And that's lithium. Let's go back to the first article. Business Insider. Russia's driven economy is so hot. Hot. When you're hot, you're hot. When you're not, you're not. Remember that song? All right. I like that guy. What's his name? I can't remember. Anyway, Russia's economy, boosted by military activity, is now classified as high income by the World Bank. Russia's GDP grew 3.6% in 2023 under sanctions. Sanctions. What did the European countries? They go in recession. They don't recognize that, the Brits, the Germans, but hey, you know better. All right. With trade and financial sectors rebounding. The World Bank also upgraded Bulgaria and Bulgaria, while the West Bank and Gaza were downgraded. What's going on in Gaza? Russia's economy has defied sanctions in the 2 years since Moscow invaded Ukraine in February 2022, so much so the World Bank is now classifying Russia as a quote-unquote high-income country. On Monday, the World Bank announced it has upgraded Russia from an upper middle income country to a high income country, according to a report from the financial institutions economists. So how could the Russians not love that bad guy? You know who I'm talking about, and I'm quoting. Economic activity in Russia was influenced by a large increase in military-related activity in 2023, end quote. World Bank economists wrote in their report. Personal note here. I came under the conclusion that we, the baboons of this country, the hard-working people, are kept to this level by those guys. I think we can have much better lives. I think we have much less work to do every day. So work less, more life to enjoy, more time and more money. But I think they don't want us, because once you do that, you start thinking. And when you have time, you think. I mean, some other people do, but how much can you do that? 2-3 hours? All right, but then what do you do with that? Drink, okay, 1 hour and you pass out. So they don't allow us to think, time to think. They want it in a whirlpool, like this, like this. So we're busy with working, making money, paying bills, having problems. I think this world has the capability to have us work less, all of us work less and earn more. I'm not a communist whatsoever, but this is my conclusion that I kind of got to in the past few years. Now, economic activity. How can Russia have this boom with the economic activity in the war? They create something and then they create again and they create. How about they create and destroy? How about they create and destroy? How can it be possible? Let's say the Russians do not employ everything they produce with a war economy. They don't send it to Ukraine. Let's say they build stuff. We build stuff that we use. Why is the war? Is that a need? We can make fake needs. We need food. We need medication. We need many other things. Why don't we focus on that one? Because I think it's very, very limited. It has to be somehow, I don't like to use that word, how do you call it? Supervised, monitored. I don't like to monitor, but sometimes you have to. Otherwise things, you say, well, the invisible hand of the market's invisible hand. There's no invisible, the hands, you can all see the hands of the financial sector and military industrial complex and these guys, big financiers and energy corporations. There's no invisible market hand, hasn't been since we have the barter, I think. So, last year, Russians earned $14,250 per person on a gross national income basis. The World Bank upgrade confirms reports from Russia that suggest the growth is primarily driven by wartime activities that generate demand for military goods and services, making some sectors winners in Russia's wartime economy. That's destruction. War is destruction. You create jobs by destruction. Well, why don't you create something that is to create something, not to destroy? And you have the product that you're going to use it. Well, you're going to be what? You need someone to consume it, like the weapons, the bullets. Burn it on the field. Burn on the field if you produce too much. Make something that you can burn it on the field. Don't kill people if you want to be fake. Russia's trade jumped by nearly 7%. Russia's trade, my friends. While activities in the financial sector and construction, they build stuff, good, by 6.6% and 3.6% respectively. This boosted Russia's real GDP, which is economic growth adjusted for inflation, by 3.6%. That means inflation is like this, production is like this, 3.6%. And Russia is bad. Russians are baboons. Remember when they said that the Russians, they have a shitty economy, they're the economy of Italy. So who's laughing now, bitches? Anyway, let's move on. I'm not going to go to the Gaza, because you can't touch that. So let's go to the next article. From Sputnik again, 6 minutes ago. Hot, hot, hot. When it's hot, it's hot. When it's not, it's not. What is his name, man? Reed. Jerry Reed. There you go. I like that guy. Exclusive. Bolivian natural resources could be root of failed coup. President claims. And it is. In an exclusive interview to Sputnik, Bolivian President Luis Arce, I would say Arce. It's not Arce, but that's how we'll pronounce it. Arce elaborated on the potential cause of last week's abortive coup d'etat in the country. A week after the failed coup attempt, Bolivian president spoke with a Sputnik correspondent at his office residence in La Paz and stressed that nation's natural resources were likely the reason of the attempt. That tells me outside interest. He reflected on the events of recent days in the country and called on public organizations to remain vigilant to possible new attempts to overthrow the government. Arce said the forces behind those destabilizing acts are those interested in plundering Bolivia's natural resources. Of course. And he says, we should be vigilant. That is the lesson we should draw. But if you're vigilant, don't infringe people's liberties. Because that's a Reichstag moment. Remember, if you're familiar with this. Last week, the Bolivian military, led by General Juan Jose Zuniga, gathered in the central square of Bolivia's administrative capital, La Paz, and tried to break into the presidential palace. President Arce, who was in the palace at the time, made an address to the nation calling the attack an attempted coup. He appointed a new army command which called on the troops to leave the square. The soldiers complied with the order. Zaniga was arrested later in the day. As a result of clashes between Zaniga's troops and residents of La Paz in the central square, 14 people were injured. Following the events, police detained 21 people involved in the coup attempt. And now the important article from the Sputnik, not by gold alone. Why lithium is so valuable and who controls most of this precious metal. Guess who? Bolivia. Cut the crap. No, I'm serious. Lithium has soft alkali metal mined in various corners of the globe has become all the rage in the business and industrial circles. Lithium is used in the production of batteries. Battery, Metallica, remember? For electronics and high-tech products such as laptops, cell phones, and electric vehicles. The obsession of Western countries with the climate agenda, and it's an obsession, and we're going to make profits, and it's not going to be you and I. A net zero emission, along with a booming electric vehicles market, further boosts the demand for lithium. Booming electric vehicle market with subsidies, and that's not fair competition. The American government gives $7,200 in tax reduction or tax revenue, tax back money if you buy a battery operated vehicle. That is, they don't give you for a fossil fuel, they give you for a, so that tells you incentive. And who pays that? The same baboon who gets the 7,200 reduction. But imbeciles are imbeciles. Lithium is extracted either from saltwater accumulations known as brines, or from hard rock compounds called spodumene and lepidolite. Now, it says here, last year's estimates suggest that the largest reserves of lithium in the world, about 9.3 million metric tons, are controlled by Chile. So what's going to happen in Chile? You know. The second place is held by Australia, who is also regarded as the world leader in lithium mine production, but they have 6.2 million metric cubes. The other ones had 9.3 million metric tons. So these guys have 6.2 million metric tons. The third spot is held by Argentina. Argentina with Pimp Milei that sells Argentina to these guys' interest like a lady of the night to the customer. And you know who the customer is. But in terms of lithium resources, however, the undisputed world champion of the world is Islam Makhachev. Leader is believed to be Bolivia, who sits on some 21 million metric tons of the precious metal. So 21 million metric tons. And Chile had 9.2, more than double. For comparison, while the runner-up Argentina has 20 million metric tons of lithium, so Argentina is the second one. That's why Milei was helped. All right, lithium resources, the United States, third place. Lithium resources are estimated at about 12 million metric tons. But these guys will not allow us to use them. But we have to use them because the Chinese get things from, I heard from certain countries that the United States left. And some of them didn't. So here it is, my friends. Coup d'etat is going to be a fight about resources. And this is something that reminds me of my father when sometime in 1991, 1992, so I was just a youngster, teenager, he said the world would end up with obviously more wild, violent fight for resources. And Russia will have its resources that everybody else will want, and then everybody else is going to go straight and get it for themselves because the resources are limited and then the production is continuing. So it's going to eat it. So it's going to be this fight. And he was right. I mean, you can say, well, it was an easy guess. Well, I should remember it because he said it, and I think he's 100% right. And you can say it's always like that. But he was referring mostly to the aggressivity, where they will, these big business, big countries, big business that use big countries will drop their masks, and you're gonna find out who they are. But it's only one country among all these big, powerful countries that wants to be called moral and beautiful, and while they're everybody else. The other ones are, yeah, we're doing it, yeah. And that's even more awful. You have like a criminal saying, hey, I'm committing all these crimes, but you gotta call me daddy. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.